Right, I'm back with a video covering the Muay Thai World Cup event happening this Saturday, this weekend, right here in Calgary. Really quickly, I'm just going to go over some of the fights, what I expect to be the results, and anything interesting, like an interesting fact or attribute that a fighter can have during the event. So I'm going to just dive right into it. So we have the opening prospect card. We have Sahez versus Sydney. Now, obviously, I'm not going to peg against my girlfriend, but I think I've seen a really sizable improvement in her game. Even though they've already been matched up before, I think this time around it's going to be a very different encounter. As I go, I'll probably pick rounds or different ways. This one I'm just going to go with a pretty good unanimous decision. I don't really see anything that Sahez brings to the match other than her forward style. Then we have Gregor McIntosh from Silverback and Pedro Hernandez from PFA. Two newer guys, not as many fights. I believe they have around 3 or 4 fights a piece, to themselves. Not bad. I know McIntosh, he trains with Arik, and he's okay. He's pretty good. He's very tall for the weight class. I would say that probably favors him. Pedro Hernandez, I'm not really too familiar with. I think he won a fight recently. I can't really remember which event, though. With that one, I'll probably go with McIntosh. Although I wouldn't be surprised if that's a really close fight, a really competitive fight. And then we have Gary from Team Smandage versus Abdul Wafar. Another really, really interesting fight. And that's the thing about this card is there are no bad fights in this card. Everyone's pretty matched up decently to a decent level. They both fought on the last Muay Thai World Cup card in March. Both having a really good performance. Gary beating Jason DeVries, who's another very solid competitor, very physical competitor. So Abdul will definitely still have his hands full here, I think, but he's been on a tear lately, so I got to ride with him, and he's from my gym. So I think probably Abdul, I'm looking at either a pretty wide decision or a knockout early on, maybe first or second round even, if Gary's not 100% composed and ready for that fight, because Abdul does carry some power on him. And then we move right on to the main event portion of that prospects card. Jason Davies from WTM and Deval Garvey. Oh, I'm sorry, man. From Dunamis. They're fighting at 160, which is kind of interesting. Definitely what's going to be apparent is going to be the height difference between the two. And I think for this fight it will be very, very tight. Both guys are coming in with a really solid experience. Again, they both fought on the last show as well together, so they're more familiar with each other's styles, fighting on the same show. Probably Deval has the advantage here. But I think it's not by much. I think Jason himself, he's very good. He's very professional. I'm going to go with Deval by split decision. And moving on up, we got the pro card. Opening with Hope, Quinn, and Morgan for the vacant 122-pound title. Morgan from Apex, I'm not really too familiar with. I know she's from Montreal. She comes from a good gym. But I'm not really too familiar with her. I think anytime you get fighters that come over from Toronto or some other part of Canada to compete here, the biggest hurdle they have to overcome is elevation. And I think, you can be in shape, you can be drilling hard, but once you experience that elevation for the first time, especially you experience that elevation in the actual fight itself, it can really throw the game plan off to the side. So I'm going to favor Hope on that one. Probably predicting another decision. Then we have a really fan favorite fight, one that was announced and I didn't really see it coming. We have Pedro versus Tyson Green. I really enjoy that matchup because it's if you don't know, Pedro and Tyson Green, they've been fighting forever. I wouldn't even be surprised if they fought each other already, but it's a really, really solid fight. Pedro hasn't been fighting for a while, so this will be his first time back, and it's interesting to see that he would jump back to such a challenge like Tyson Green, because Tyson Green just fought Quinnwazilak, who's also featured on this card, but later on he's fighting for the belt. That one's a really, really hard fight to pick. I slightly favor Pedro because I think his frame's a little bit bigger, and I know he has an extensive fight career already. Tyson Green does as well, and he's more fresh. But I feel like for Pedro to come back at this moment in time, he must have some fire. He must have something to prove. So I think he's going to be probably the best shape we've ever seen Pedro. So I'm going to go with Pedro. And I think the clinch will be a big determining factor. I think the clinch will be what Peter's game plan will be coming into this one. Moving on, we have Abdu Haddad and Apposite, who's coming in here from Vancouver, which is nice to see some Vancouver fighters being featured as well. This fight, honestly, I favor Apposite a bit more. I think coming off the last fight with Abdu Haddad, his style is entertaining to watch because he likes to come forward a lot, but I think he struggles with movers and kickers, and him not being that tall for the weight class really doesn't help. Good fighter though, but I think Apposite will probably be looking to land body kicks, throw the jab, move, pivot off, and I think that'll be a hard hurdle for Abdul Haddad to overcome. So I'm going to say round 3 TKO by Apposite. Next, we're getting into the title fights. So in this card, there's a lot of titles, WBC belts being handed over, being contested for. And the first one is Cody Jerome, who is the champion at 154, versus Quinnwazilak from Calgary Dunamis. Really, really tight matchup. Both guys have a lot of output, have a lot of volume. I could see this fight being the fight of the night, actually. I slightly favored Quinn because Quinn has versatilities in his strikes. Jerome is a big fan of his punching combinations and low kicks and punching and kicking, but I feel like Quinn looks for the elbow, he looks for the knee, he can punch out of clinches really nicely. So I just think Quinn will be bringing a more diverse arsenal to the fight. So I'm predicting that he's probably going to get it done later, probably round 4, round 3, TKO or stoppage. Yeah, I'm actually breezing through these, so this will be a shorter video than expected, but all good. We have Aaron Wilson versus Tyler Nicholson. Again, this is Aaron Wilson's first title defense since he gained the belt back in March. Tyler Nicholson is a dangerous opponent, again coming in here from Vancouver. Last time we saw Nicholson, he fought Louis Grover, a teammate from Elite, so I think Nicholson's going to have some good confidence coming into the fight. I think he's going to be looking to throw some jump knees, what we saw in the Louis fight, high kicks, spins. I think he's going to be looking for that. This fight, I predict Aaron Wilson to finish him quite early. I think the spinning and the jumping really plays into Aaron Wilson's game of standing your ground and throwing power shots. So, if Nicholson goes for a spin or for a jump at the wrong time and catches an overhand right or a stiff straight or a hard shot to the body, I think that's going to change the the momentum of the fight, because Aaron Wilson's got some serious power with his hands. So if he can connect, and Nicholson did fight MMA that I'm aware of his last outing, and unfortunately suffered the knockout. So it'll be interesting to see who can play their game. But if I was a betting man, I'm definitely betting with my boy Aaron Wilson for his first title defense. And then we have the vacant belt at 147. We have Jake Peacock and Eric Rocha, which will also be a really, really interesting fight. Eric Rocha, I feel like, will have the clinch advantage for sure. I think he will be looking to try to tie Jake up, especially after seeing Jake's last dominant performance on Muay Thai World Cup, where he was just able to impose the kicking, able to target his opponent's rear leg with that left low kick. And I think Eric Rocha is going to be very wary of that. I think he's going to be trying to move and try to clinch a lot. I'd probably give the fight definitely to Jake, knowing that he's coming here. He's got the advantage of training in elevation for the full camp. He's longer, he's taller, he carries more explosive capabilities, I believe. So I think Jake will be a definitely more than likely coming out victorious in that fight. I don't see it being an easy fight. I see it'll be the game will be Jake's push kick and movement versus Rocha's grittiness and boxing and clinch, which will be an interesting fight. But I think we'll see Jake Lee as a new champion, most likely. And then for the main event, we have Gerardo Adi versus Mark McKinnon. And this is the big fight that Kieran Kell's been trying to put on for a long time. Muay Thai World Cup's been trying to put on. Mark McKinnon's basically on a tear right now. He's challenging the world champion for his belt. In a bout that's really risky for him, because Gerardo is a really young champion. He fights hard. He has antics and stuff like that, and he's a little goofy, but he's a very talented fighter, and he's a young fighter himself. And coming from Germany, he's gonna have a lot to prove, being the champion but making his title defense here. Having said that, I think Mark McKinnon, his training with Kieran Kettle will pay off, because they've been training to getting ready for this opponent for a long time. So I definitely see Mark McKinnon being able to catch him. I don't know if I can predict an early stoppage like last time, unless Gerardo tries to open up early and tries to risk it to get that, to try to just steal a round or two. I'm gonna say Mark McKinnon by 4th round TKO, because I do think the elevation's a big factor, and it's almost like you have to come 50% more conditioned. If you're not training here and you're training somewhere else and you're coming to fight here, you have to make up for that endurance loss that you're going to get, especially when you start breathing heavy. So anyways, those are my predictions for the fights on Saturday. Let me know what you think. Maybe I'm totally wrong. Maybe you think something else is going to happen. Whatever. Just write something down. And yeah, cool.